Welcome back to the Reminder Dental tutorial and troubleshooting series. And I'm going to be going over today the order of operations in the software that's being run. So let me take you over to my Word document here. Okay, so Reminder Dental has three separate applications that are installed during installation. And the first one is a Windows service. So this runs through as long as the server is on, whether somebody's logged in or not. That's why it has to be a Windows service. All right, is because even when somebody's logged off or the server is locked, which is most common, then it still has to be able to run. So the first thing that has to happen is it asks our system for some information. We call it the assigned write route. And the reason for that is as Reminder Dental grows, we may split up where everybody gets posts their data to, so that one server doesn't become overwhelmed. That hasn't been a problem at this point, but we anticipate to grow quite large, and so from the very beginning we planned on knowing that we were going to have to send it to this server or that server. In order for this route to work, you have to have what's called a bearer token. That's a long string of numbers, letters, and it's kind of like a username, password, all encrypted and rolled into one. And so it logs your computer, your application into our server and says, this is the user, this is the office that we are, where should we send our data? Okay, so after we know that, then we can move forward. This is the same for the service, the tray, and the updater. They all depend on that same token. All right. Now, and that needs to be in the configuration.ini file. You can use the configuration utility, which is the tray application, to put it in. It's on the opening page. So the next thing that the service does is it's going to check to see which practice management system you're using. Is it Open Dental, Dentrix, PracticeWorks, whatever? And then there's a list of things that we're going to go through. We're going to find out the definitions. Those are all of your status codes, like confirmed, unconfirmed, patients in waiting room, patients in operatory, whatever. Okay, we'll get a list of your providers, the treatment plans. Actually, that's supposed to be down here. And so we're going to get the locations, the list of operatories. We're going to get all your languages, users. And then we start off, the users would be the people that log into your practice management. So your patients, we're going to get a list of them. Then we're going to go back and we're going to get the accounting section. We get the appointments and then the procedures attached to those appointments. These together only go back for the last 3 months. That's to keep everything running fast. And for communication and all of that, we just need everything from the past 3 months and out into the future. We need the recall schedules. And then we go back and get historical. And that is the appointments and procedures, and it is 3 years worth. And so we use that in order to generate groups and to do the maps and all kinds of additional filters and stuff. Procedure codes, that would be, so we don't actually store the ADA procedure codes or Canadian procedure codes or any other procedure codes. But here we have a lot of procedures that are given a procedure code, and we go back and we get the key index, the dictionary of what do those all mean. That way you can add custom codes and we'll still know what they mean. Treatment plans, that's a new one that we're adding in. It's for Open Dental so far only. It is all of the plans that have been accepted by the patient that are not currently assigned to an appointment. And so hopefully you'll be able to generate some new reports and groups and stuff like that using that data. So we're always modifying these to some degree. I just added this one a couple weeks ago, and everything looks like it's doing well as we've launched that. And we're going to start building out the user interface on that. Now, so this is everything that your computer sends us, okay? Then we send back updates, which patients' appointments have been confirmed, and that kind of stuff. Messages, has anybody sent back text that you need to know about? And so these lists vary a little bit from practice management system to practice management system. And so with Open Dental, we're able to actually copy back into the comm log any messages that are sent back and forth. And then it works in the background to check on the tray and the updater to make sure both of those are still up and running. Okay. Now, the send, this happens every 5 minutes. This happens every 2 minutes. Now, reasons that, so if there are things that are not being sent, so let me actually go back and clarify that. So this is what happens the very first time that we synchronize, because we have to have everything to get started. After that, the only things we need every 5 minutes, well, let me see if I can do that without messing everything up here. All right. So the only things that we need every 5 minutes would be this. And so we get that every 5 minutes. And then every day or two, we go back and we get the full list. Okay. Now, the reasons for that is some information, like your list of providers, just don't change very often. There's no reason for us to constantly query it. No reason to use your computing power or my computing power to do something that hasn't changed. But there are a couple of differences in when those things happen, because different practice management systems will have some have timestamps, some don't. Some do really crazy stuff. So for example, Eaglesoft, when you create an appointment, you attach procedures to that appointment. And there will be an appointment ID associated with all of those procedures. As soon as that appointment is set complete, they disconnect from each other, and those procedures are no longer associated with that appointment. And so there's just weird stuff that happens in different practice management systems. Sometimes the different systems don't keep good timestamps on the records that change. And so if you're using a practice management software that doesn't update their timestamps, it's harder for us to say, well, give us everything that's changed in the last 5 minutes. And so we've got workarounds on that. And the typical way we're going to do that is we're going to go ahead and get everything that we can every 5 minutes. And then instead of waiting a day or two, we're going to go back and we're going to get everything a little bit more often. So just in case something has changed, we're going to do that more often. Okay, so that is the Windows service, and it is again, it's a service because it needs to be able to run while nobody is logged in. Now, when Microsoft recently created some adjustments to Windows services to where they're no longer allowed to have a user interface component. So that little tray icon in the bottom by your clock, it's not allowed to be part of the service anymore. So we have a tray application, and that application it runs constantly, and it checks the tray app, which is actually pretty much a mirror of the assigned write and the updater. So all three of those do kind of the same thing. They all depend on the bearer token, and they're all just kind of checking to say, are there any updates? Here I am, do you have any jobs for me? And so, the biggest, most important thing that they do is they check on each other, okay? So the tray application and the service are both allowed to update this, and this is allowed to send updates out on either of those two. And so we have a fairly comprehensive system that allows it to for them to repair each other if anything ever goes wrong. But I wanted to mention the tray application. When that launches, you'll see the little blue icon down by the clock in the right-hand side. You may come back at another time and that icon is not there. There's a good reason for that, and it's because at some point, either the updater or the service said, hey, that's not running, let's restart it. And so there was a time that it said, you haven't done your job, you're supposed to do something every 5 minutes, you haven't done it, let's restart it. Now again, these are services, they're not allowed to have a user interface side to it. And so when that application is restarted by the service or the updater, you lose the icon down by the clock. It's still running, you just can't see it. When you want to launch it again, you just go to the Start menu, launch the Reminder Dental application, and it automatically shuts down the old version that was started by the service or the updater and starts running in a way that you can see it and interact with it. So the tray application is important because that's your configuration point. If you're not comfortable editing text files and configuring everything the way I do as a computer programmer, that's totally fine. That's what this tray application is for. It's to give you a step-by-step way of using it. And then that application, it only has 2 jobs. Those 2 jobs are to create the INI file and to double check on the updater and the service and make sure they are running. So it has no other function on the computer other than those 2 things. And so if it's not running, it's not the end of the world, but that's what's going on. All right, well, that's kind of the workflow of the software that's running on your computer. And if you have any other questions, let me know.